Bojo, Ani, Wakaman Indigenous cause Wasaksing Nindon Jaba Gigo Nido Dam Tekaranto and Dao. Hello and welcome. My name is Wakaman Pewis. I'm Ojibwe from Wasaksing First Nation, and I work with Connected North as a Connected North Indigenous Education Coordinator. And today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a follow-up on our past entrepreneurship session. We were taking a look at entrepreneurship, small business, and we learned a few things there. And I just kind of wanted to add a little bit onto that just to expand a little bit more into what a business plan is again. And so that might be a little bit of a repeat, but as we go in, share some more things to think about and consider when setting up your business plan. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're looking at entrepreneurship. Um, I wanted just to kind of follow up on our last um, session where we talked about entrepreneurship, and just to see if there was anything else that I didn't have the opportunity to cover that I wanted to cover in this one. So we're going to take a little bit another look at entrepreneurship, just to give you kind of a different look at the small business and what entrepreneurship is. So there's going to be a little bit of stuff that you already heard, but we're going to learn a little bit more. So today we're going to, the things, I guess I want to give you just like kind of like a couple of key messages on what you should do and steps you should take to set your business up and to make sure that you're successful. So the first thing I really want you to do and really remember is to do your research, learn as much as you can. In that first presentation, there was a lot of questions that I posed to you to really think about setting up your business plan, and learning more about yourself, learning about your product or service. And so some of the questions that I think that you really need to ask is there a need for your product or service? Really thinking about your geographical area, who your target demographic is, who needs your product or service. Really looking at companies that might offer a similar or a product or service. It's good to, I think, look at other companies just so that you can see what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and really like any opportunities or that they might have, and then really think about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and thinking about ways that you can put yourself in a position so that you're more successful. Sometimes it's carving out what they call a niche, like a small, a specific group of customers or clients that really are going to benefit from your product or service, and that's entirely possible. So as you understand your competition and what they're like, you can figure out what differentiates yourself. And I think that what makes you unique is why people will utilize your product or service, and how your product or services best fit into that market. So do a survey in your community or have a focus group with people who would use your product or service. Get that research, ask those questions, and find out how your product or service will benefit and support the needs of your customer or client. Step two, I would suggest to make a plan. A goal without a plan is just a wish. So just really think about your business plan. It might be starting off with that business model canvas. I didn't really go into it too much. I'll share maybe a little bit more after we get into this presentation, just to follow up more on what a business model canvas is, and where you can access that. So the business plan again is to create that plan. So with the question in mind, is this a viable option? I really want you to think about asking that question as you develop your plan, because at the end, when you're done creating your plan, I want you to be able to say yes or no. If it's yes, then go ahead, do your business plan and do your business, start running it. You should see success. That'd be awesome. If the answer is no, why is it a no? Like look back. Maybe it was my target market is just a little bit wrong. Maybe I need to go into a different target market, or maybe the location, the geographical location doesn't make sense. So sometimes you just need to go back, readjust, and then when you get to the end again, is this a viable option? Yes or no? and sometimes it just takes tweaking, and sometimes it just maybe it's just like it's a great idea, but at the end of the day, it's not something that I'm into. That could be a potential outcome. So just figure out for yourself what makes it successful for you, and what how do you define that success, and is your business plan going to work for you? So again, the business plan serves as that tool or the guideline for you to follow. You know, if you go to apply for loans or grants, they're going to want to see that you've put together this plan. Especially if you go to like a bank for a loan, for example, they're going to want to see that you've really considered um, how much cost is associated with your business, and that you are taking it seriously, that you have your own money or capital to put into your business, and then they can match that. And if they see that it looks like it's going to be successful, then they'll take that risk and give you that loan. And so having the business plan is a very helpful way to get you that extra capital to get a loan, to be able to carry yourself for the first few months, half a year, whatever that looks like, so that as you build your customer and client base, then you can get to a point where then you can start paying back your loan, and you know, and then even growing your business. And then having some kind of plan that is written is better than nothing. So create your business plan, and again, is this a viable option? Third, plan your finances. It's really important, as I just mentioned. If you want to, take your business plan to a bank to get a loan, they're going to want to see that you've really considered, what it's going to cost. So create a budget. Start by creating a spreadsheet with your estimated one-time costs. So like equipment, licenses, permits, insurance, legal fees, branding, market research, websites, etc. And then after that, a spreadsheet that reflects your cash flow on a month-to-month basis, 12 months. That's going to include rent, utilities, phone, marketing, supplies, salary, employee salary. You might need to have more legal fees, things that will also come up. Continued things for your website. So some of those things that were in your estimated one-time costs might end up being have components that are ongoing costs. So if you can think about those and you can create a budget, then you can also that's a useful tool to say, okay, if I'm going to sell my product or service, this is what I'm going to need to sell it for to cover the costs of creating this product or service, but then also to what to charge for an hourly rate, or what to charge for a day rate maybe, or that product itself. If I need to sell, how much quantity of this product do I need to sell in order to make to break even, meaning that the money that we spent on it, how much money do we need to, or how much do we need to sell to break even, to make a no profit, and just like say, okay, we're at zero, and then how, like, if we were able to sell a bit more, how much would we be into making profit? So just having all of that really gives you an idea of what it's going to take to be able to support yourself or your employees, your business for each month, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, that sort of thing. There's a term out there called bootstrapping. It's a way of running your business. It's an option of financing your own business with little or no capital. It can certainly be done. People have done it, and you could theoretically create your budget to reflect that. That's how you're going to start your business. So just think about that as a way to create your budget. Next thing we want to do is talk about choosing your structure of your business. So this is really important as you develop your business. You're going to write this in your business plan, and just reflect on the business entity itself and what does that look like. So there's 3 different types of businesses. There's a sole proprietorship, there's a partnership, and there's corporation. So as we look at the sole proprietorship, what that is that's a business that's set up in your name, and you are liable. Now, liable meaning that you are responsible if the business goes under, all the responsibility of the costs and everything is all on your shoulders. Partnership was similar to sole proprietorship, except that it is shared between all the partners. That responsibility is shared between everyone. So it could be you and one another individual. There might be more partners. You might have, you could have as many as you want. It gets it puts a little bit of strain. It's a little bit more challenging, but it really depends on how you want to set that up. A corporation is a separate legal entity, so you, as an individual, are not liable for the business. Now, there are cases where you as an individual still can be liable, and you have to take on a lot of responsibility in that way. But just wanted to point that out. So, as we get specifically into sole proprietorship, you are the business. It's also the easiest to start, but it comes at a high personal risk. And so just keep that in mind. It's when you start your business, it's much cheaper to start the business as a sole proprietorship and register your business. It doesn't cost that much money. And yeah, I think most businesses usually start out as sole proprietorship. So it's usually a great way to start. Partnership, again, that's you and your partner. You are both equal in setting up your business. Again, it's one of the easier ones to start. It's similar to a sole proprietorship, but it also comes with high personal risk. Let's say, you're doing everything in your power to ensure the business is going well. However, your partner is doing something that puts your business at risk. They do something that doesn't goes against the contract, or payments aren't going through or something like that, to I don't know, whoever you might need to pay legal fees, or keeping up with your bills, and then that could come back, and that would come back on both of you and your partner equally. So you guys both share the risk, and so just think about that. And but I mean, there's lots of people who have formed partnerships, and as long as the terms between you and your partner are made clear, and how you're going to run and operate your business, it's an opportunity to be successful. It's just like the sole proprietorship. However, you have someone else who's sharing in that responsibility with you. So really make sure you trust the individuals that you're getting into a partnership with for your business. A corporation is a separate entity. So in my little diagram here, I have two individuals. So there's you right here. And then if you think of your business as like your own child or your own baby, you can start it out as a sole proprietorship, but later on incorporate if you want to. But it's another individual, the corporation. That's how it's set up. So they're a bit more tricky to start up. It's actually there's a higher fee to incorporate your business, but there's less personal risk. I don't want to say there's no risk at all, because you technically could still be liable for anything that might happen. So just to keep that in mind, it's a lot less personal risk. So if something were to happen to the company were to go bankrupt, that's all the responsibility technically falls under the corporation. There are instances where, because you are the like business owner, so to speak, of the corporation, that that some of that responsibility still could come on you. So if for example, if your business went bankrupt and you couldn't pay the bank could still come after you technically, to cover those costs. But there's a lot less personal risk in terms of like lawsuits and that sort of stuff. So that's really great option for those who start getting into larger businesses, to incorporate to protect themselves. And a great thing is you can always change your business model later. So start what makes sense for you. If you are unsure, I would just suggest starting as a sole proprietorship, and then change later as your business grows into a corporation. However, if you were to start as a corporation, I don't think you can actually go back and be a sole proprietor. I don't think that's how it works. So that's why this saying, you can always change, doesn't necessarily make sense in terms of going from a corporation to a sole proprietor. But going from a sole proprietor and starting out there makes a lot of sense, because then you can change that and go into a corporation. But I personally would just take my word as just kind of like as an idea, and not necessarily as the best thing to do. I would suggest getting an attorney to give you the best possible advice and choose the best option for your business and what makes sense for you. So I've been involved in film and television, and so if I was starting up a video production company, um, what makes sense for me, it doesn't make sense for a different company. What a toy maker might make, or a company that makes, um, you know, um, drones or something like that, or an individual who sells a service of some sort. Like, everything's different. So again, choose what's best for you, and get some like actual professional advice on what makes sense for you. So pick and register your business name. Is one of the big things that you need to consider. And I like to think that it's easier said than done. I know for some people, choosing your business name, it's just super simple. It's just like, you get the idea. Some people are like, oh, it'd be cool if we had a business like this, and then they come up with a pun or something funny, or maybe they're serious. Maybe it's a reflection of your family name, and it's super simple. Some people like to think of things that are clever. So really, like, go through the process to think about what's going to work best for you in terms of your name. Generate ideas. Sometimes you come up with a great name, but creating a logo might be challenging. So all those kind of go hand in hand. But the important thing is you choose your business name. One of the things I'd recommend is also purchasing a domain name for the website. But before you choose your business name and before you register it, what I recommend you do is check online to see if that name has already been taken. Check to see if that website or domain space has already been taken, so that you don't go, okay, this is what the business is going to be and the name is going to be, and then find out later on that somebody's already taken that, and so you just waste. That'll be a waste, and you'll have to avoid that headache. Just check before you do that, and then set up your business location. So you want to think about where you're going to be located. They say location is key. So in terms of your business, how can you run it? And what makes sense for your budget? Is this something that you can run from a home office? You might be able to save some money by operating directly out of your home, but because you don't need a retail space, you don't need to be in a location that other people have access to. So you can, like, let's say you're a computer programmer, and you can write code. Maybe you take online jobs, and you can write all of that from your home office, and you don't need to go into an office space. But if you do have products, you might be able to sell them on an online store, and you might not need retail space. However, if you do need retail space, you need to think about the town or the city or wherever you're located, and what that place looks like, and how can you put your product into a retail space where your customers will find themselves shopping. So think about that, and how much is that going to cost you in rent. Yeah. And then lastly, is this a private or shared office space? So if you have to go into your local town, or if you're located in the city, for example, like, there are you could rent your own private office space where just your company works, but there are shared office spaces for people to come together, and but there might be a few different companies in there, but you have your own little kind of room with your own desk and that sort of stuff. So think about that. Depending on your location, you might have access to a private or office shared space. But that again really depends on your personal and physical location. So consider also if it makes sense to buy your space or to lease it, and that's something to really consider. And again, That's a question that you'll have to ask and really look into to see what's the best option for yourself. And then as we get into number 7, promote your small business. We want to make sure that your business or your product is visible. So we want to put your marketing plan into action. So that's that one of the 3 major components of a business plan. It's usually, if we were to put it kind of in order, it'd be the second part of your business plan. And we want to put that into action. When your business is up and running, we want you to attract your clients and your customers. And so ask yourself, how are you going to do that? And you might do it on social media, creating social media posts, showcasing your product, or sharing stories of your service, maybe documenting testimonials, having your customers or clients talk about why they loved your product. Maybe you need to create flyers, post that around town. Or are you creating advertisements? You can do in the print. Maybe you have a local newsletter. Maybe you want to create online video to share, or you want it to be on the radio or on TV. You have to consider the costs that go into those, but those could be part of your marketing strategies, and figuring out how do you set it up so that your product or service ends up in front of your customers. Now, I've done work in film and television, as I mentioned, and so as I freelance and run kind of my personal business, a lot of my work actually happened through word of mouth. So as I did a good job and I met new people and did networking, I was able to get more work because of the people that I met and the people that I was working with, and had a lot of repeat customers. And so that's how I operated, and that's what worked for me. And I didn't need to put in ads in the newspaper, or I didn't need to put ads in a television on TV, or for example. So that's you need to do what makes sense for you, and do it in a way I think that's cost effective and makes sense for your budget. You don't want to spend all your money on marketing, and then because sometimes not all marketing, not all TV marketing works, and not all radio marketing works. Sometimes it's the unique and creative ways that we can do it that are even cheap or low cost or free that work. So just figure out what works for you, and there are many ways to market your product and your service for free. So think about that. All right, so there you have it. Just learning more about entrepreneurship and the next steps that you can take to ensure that you have a successful business. Just to kind of reiterate what we learned today, I really wanted to emphasize the importance of doing your research and learning as much as you can. Ask those questions about your product, your service, your competition, the market that you're going to get yourself into, learning about how your business will fit into that market, and who are your clients and who needs it, and how you can everyone has their needs, and how does your product or service support your customer or your client's needs, and why would they want to choose your business. And so thinking about those questions, and if you can answer those, then you're in really great shape for setting up your business. And as we go through and make our plan, we make our business plan, you want to ask the question, is this a viable option? So when you go through and you create your business plan and you create the different parts, at the end of the plan, when you're done, you should be able to answer the question, is this a viable option? When I look at my whole business plan, is there any red flags that come up, or do I need to adjust? You can always take a great idea. It might not fit your geographical location or the customers in your area, or the climate of the market. Sometimes we just need to take a look at the bigger picture, see how our business fits within that, and just kind of adjust and make those adjustments. Sometimes we need to do those adjustments on the fly. And that's why it's really important to create a business plan, so that we can plan from plan A to Z, and all those little plans in between, so that we can adapt. We've thought about all of the scenarios of where things may have gone wrong, and how we can overcome those, so that we're just in a better position to ensure that we succeed. So creating at least a minimum of a one-page business plan, something like the business model canvas, or having your full fleshed out plan is really important so that you have a better understanding of that. And having something written is better than nothing, right? And so creating that budget as well, we want to make sure that you've considered what all your expenses are, all the finances that go into running your own business. You want to make sure that you can get paid if you have employees, having to pay them as well. What it costs to um, generate your product or service, and then what you need to sell that product or service for, so that at the end of the day you can cover all of your costs, and at the end of the day hopefully make a profit. And yeah, and so also we talked about choosing your business structure. So whether that's a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a corporation, that sort of thing, and making sure that you choose the best format for your business that makes sense for you. And of course there's you can change certain things if you do it in a certain order. So just consider that as you move forward. You can always change, like I said, your business. So really just don't feel like you have to get locked into one of those areas. But yeah, as long as you have that base understanding, what's going to work best for you and your business. So and again, picking your business name, that's a challenge, but we want to make sure that you pick your business name, get it registered, doing the fact check to make sure that it's not already something that's been taken. Sometimes it's like looking at the domains for your website, if that's what you're going to choose to create, and making sure no one else has that, so that that you're covered for that. Of course, that's all easier said than done. So some people it just happens, and it's very easy, and some people struggle with that. So it's always great to have like brainstorming sessions, maybe get other people involved to help you out with that. Setting up your business location is one of the other things that we talked about, and just whether or not if that's something that you can run from your home, if you need to get office space, or maybe it's a private office space, or maybe it's a shared workspace, if it's a retail space, if that's what you need. And then ways to promote your business. So we want to make sure that you are visible, whether that's on social media, how do you promote it, as well as, if you have the capital, the money to run ads in your local newspaper. Sometimes it's challenging, but you could do it on television as well. Obviously, you need to get to that point. But just finding out what works best for you and how you put your business in front of your customer or client, so that they know that you exist, and that they can access your product or services. Okay, so that concludes our entrepreneurship session. And again, if you have any questions, let's figure out a way to get those to me. And I'm open to new ideas of expanding on the information shared. If you have any more questions, or you want me to cover anything else, we can always connect, and I can do an updated video on that one. So I'd like to thank you for your time and for your patience, and appreciate it. And good luck with your business idea and your entrepreneurship. Miigwech.